Hello everyone and welcome to another Trinisphere deck tech. I am Adam, otherwise known as Squire1 or the Johnny of the group, and today we are taking on Adriana, Captain of the Guard. As mentioned, I am brought to you by the Trinisphere, and let's get right into the deck tech. So, Adriana, Captain of the Guard, is 3 and a red and a white for a 4/4 human knight with melee, and it gives other creatures you control melee. So melee obviously benefits you by attacking multiple players. So this is going to be a pretty aggro-centric and attack-heavy deck. So we're going to go through the easy, boring stuff first. We're going to go through the lands as per usual. I am not going to be using any tap lands. But we have Arid Mesa, Battlefield Forge, Clifftop Retreat, Command Tower. Forgotten Cave is really just a cycle. We can play this on turn 1 if we really need to, but I'm not a huge fan of the tap lands. But Boros has a hard time drawing cards, so sometimes it's worth it. Ghost Quarter, 12 Mountains, 12 Plains, a Plateau, Rugged Prairie, Sacred Foundry, Secluded Steppe, same reason as the Forgotten Cave. We really just need some card draw in here. We have Slayer's Stronghold for a little bit of a bonus for our attacking, potentially blocking creatures. Strip Mine and Wasteland for any severely hindering lands that we might need to take care of. Okay, you're going to take a look at our enchantments. So we have Anointed Procession, which is going to double all of our tokens that we make. This is going to be a token-centric deck. We are basically concentrating on making a whole lot of small dudes and attacking multiple players with it, so that each time we do, if we're in a 4-person pod, for example, and we attack each of our 3 opponents, then we should be getting off of Adriana a +1/+1 for each opponent attacked. So we should be getting a +3/+3 on each of our tokens. So that leads us into Assemble the Legion, which just keeps growing. It is a high mana cost, but if you put this down on turn 5, by the time you get to the late game, this is making tons of tokens. If you have Adriana out, they're all getting +3/+3. Breath of Fury, again, with all the tokens. This gives you an additional combat step. So if you can potentially have several tokens out, you can attack each person. They're all 4/4s. Then get an extra combat step with -1 creature, and continue to do the same over and over and over. Goblin Assault, again, get this out early, and then you have, hasty goblins that you get every turn. Land tax, mostly just because Boros has trouble ramping, and land tax is one of the ways that we can at least fix our draws, so that we're land taxing 3 lands every turn, and then getting actual gas when we draw. Take a look at our instance. We've got Benevolent Offering. Gives us a little bit of casual life gain. I don't like to invest a lot of space in life gain, but this does allow you to gain some life, and it also makes tokens. It makes tokens for your opponents as well. But hopefully you're getting more benefit off of that, because when you attack with them, they should be +3/+3. Boros Charm is just going to be good in any deck. It can potentially make all of your stuff indestructible, so if a board wipe comes, you can avoid that. Double strike to all your tokens once they get the bonus is also very good, or on the block can be very good as well. The 4 damage to target player, super late game, if somebody's at 4 life, sure, go ahead and kill them, but it's not that useful. Chaos Warp is just all around great removal in red. Deflecting Palm, Disenchant, Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, pretty common with both of these, and Wear Tear which is great removal in Boros. All right, let's get into our creatures, because I did try to make this a fairly creature-centric deck. That attack triggers and tokens are the two things that I went after the most. So with Aurelia the War Leader, when Aurelia attacks for the first time, untap all your creatures. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So this doubles up all of your attack triggers, which should double up our melee as well. Right? Because whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attacked with a creature this combat. So you're going to get double melee triggers if you have an additional attack phase. All right, moving back up. Bane of Bala Ged is removal on attack. So 2 exiles on attack, very good. Boros Reckoner. I just like Boros Reckoner. Literally the only reason it's in there. We're in a Boros deck. I like Boros Reckoner. It attacks and blocks very well. It's well costed. That's about it. Brimaz, King of Oreskos. Token Maker on attack. Token Maker on block. Well costed. Custody Soulcaller has melee of its own. And when it attacks, it can recur things. So this can bring back a lot of our smaller guys that potentially make even, more guys. So very good there. Emiria Angel, this will make plenty of bird tokens just for playing lands, which is very good. When you have things like fetch lands, it's going to be even better. You can even ghost quarter yourself to get some extra value out of this. Flying, so we've got the evasion. So these are potentially 4/4 flyers that we're swinging in with. Atali is just here for the extra, card draw. You're card drawing off other people's decks, but you are card drawing and it is on attack. So something that we want to be doing pretty much every turn. Geist-Honored Monk, just to make additional guys. They are flying, so that's good. We're going to try and make as many flying tokens as possible, or tokens with evasion. And Geist-Honored Monk acts as a good attacker and blocker on its own. Gisela, just mitigating us losing the game through damage, because we're going to be trying to turn everything sideways every turn. So if all of our stuff is sideways, we're not going to be on the block too much, so this will cut our damage in half, and we'll make those tokens do even more damage. Goblin Rabblemaster, making an extra guy every combat, and making all your goblins attack, and it also buffs itself, which is pretty good. Very good rate on that card. Handwear Garrison. So Handwear Garrison is in here for 2 reasons. One, it is a very efficient token maker. The other is we also have Handwear Battlement in here, so we could meld this card. And then we could be making 3/2s every turn. Not necessarily depending on that happening, but both cards are decent on their own. When this attacks, you get 2 guys that are tapped and attacking. If they stick around, then you can attack with melee, and they get even more bonuses. Hanweir Militia Captain is basically just for the transform. On its own, it's just a bear, but when you transform it, it does start making guys, which is very helpful. Heliod is a great mana sink. It also gives all your guys vigilance, and it's a pretty decent-sized creature on its own if it becomes active. But it does pump out 2/1 tokens, so that's pretty good. Hellrider, again, we're attacking. We want to be attacking and attacking and attacking. And Hellrider has haste as well as a trigger off of attacking and can potentially do a decent amount extra damage just from that. Hero of Bladehold, very similar to Handwear Garrison. When you attack, you're making extra guys. Also, it buffs your guys when it attacks. It gives all of your creatures +1/+0. So that plus the melee, they're already, all these little 1/1s that we're making are getting very big. Inferno Titan is just always good. I think that the Titan cycle in general is pretty strong. And on attack, as well as when it enters the battlefield, you get a little bit of removal attached to it, so that's pretty good. Legion Warboss, one of the newer cards, as we're just going into the Ravnica block at this time. At the beginning of combat, you get a guy, and he gains haste until end of turn. They are very good. In addition, he has Mentor, so basically he's making 2/2s, which is very good. Leonin War Leader, whenever it attacks, you get 2/2/2s with lifelink. Again, casual life gain. This is 6 power for 4, essentially, if he gets to attack. So that's very good. And two of those damage are lifelinking. We then have Loyal Apprentice. So just for having our commander out with Loyal Apprentice, at the beginning of combat, we're going to get a 1/1 flyer with haste. Again, evasion always good. Mentor of the Meek, drawing cards off of each one of our little 1/1s that come into the battlefield. Mere Battlesphere is always a strong card, but in this case it does extra damage for the tapping the mirror when you're attacking, as well as making 4 extra guys that can get the melee trigger. Ogre Battle Driver, when each one of your tokens comes into play, and it's actually any creature, but more important for the tokens, they're all going to get +2/+0 and haste, which is very strong. Oketra, making 1/1s with vigilance. This is in here for a similar reason to Heliod. It's just a mana sink for late game, and it's indestructible, so it's not just going to die to everything else. You can potentially have both gods out at the same time and just use your mana to make more dudes and build up quicker than other people. Precinct Captain, again, when it deals damage, you get guys. Sun Titan will pretty much hit a majority of our creatures. As you've seen, we're at a pretty low casting cost. We're at a pretty low curve. And we wanted to keep it that way so that we can make sure that we are getting stuff down earlier than everybody else and kind of turning things sideways and just making sure that we are killing people. Sunhome Guildmage, exact same reason that we have Heliod and Oketra in here. It's just a good token generator. They do have haste. You can buff your whole team if you need to. And he comes down very early. Tilinali's Summoner, you're creating a whole bunch of guys. Usually when you're creating the guys, you're going to have Ascend. This is EDH. It's not like it was in Limited where Ascend was potentially not going to happen. You're almost always going to have Ascend, so you're just making a lot of guys tapped and attacking, and they'll stick around. Twilight Drover, to get a little bit of extra value if we have any kind of board wipes or partial board wipes, Twilight Drover is going to be able to add counters to it so that it can get bigger, but more importantly, you can kind of cycle your guys from a guy into, a token into a +1/+1 counter, back into 2 tokens, and it turns non-flying tokens into flying tokens in this case. And then Wingmate Rock triggers off of attack, gains life when you're attacking, and it creates a token. So, like I said, a little bit of casual life gain, kind of doubles itself, so you've got 6 power for 5. Pretty good, and nice evasion. So then moving on to our sorceries, we have Austere Command. And specifically using Austere Command so that we can obviously destroy artifacts or enchantments, which we're not as concerned with. We need a way to get rid of them, and they're not going to hurt us that much. But if we're playing against an enchantment heavy or an artifact heavy deck, then we can get rid of those. If you play this before you attack, so before melee triggers, you're going to be able to blow out people with the destroy all creatures mana cost 4 or greater, because we're going to have primarily tokens. So if we go 4 or greater, all of our tokens have a converted mana cost of 0. It's going to make everything go really smoothly for combat, and more of our guys will get in. We have Descent of Dragons, and this is just kind of a saucy little thing that I put in here, which basically takes all of our little ground pounder 1/1 guys and turns them into 4/4 dragons. So we can choose any number of creatures. It can also get rid of something that's just in the way on their side of the board, on your opponent's side of the board. If they have, some 12/12 monstrosity or, Eldrazi, other than the indestructible ones, you can turn it into a 4/4 flyer instead, which 4/4 flyer is a thing, but it's, much better than facing down a Kozilek. So makes our guys a lot bigger, gives them evasion, potential answer to some of their threats. We have Dusk Dawn, so destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Again, you cast this before combat, so before melee triggers happen, and then you attack, and you can end up blowing up their board while maintaining a lot of your 1/1s. Okay? And then the Dawn side of this, return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. There's a few things that this hits. It's not as much in here for Dawn. It's more for the Dusk side of things. Entreat the Angels, just a great token generator. Faithless Looting, again, Boros does not know how to draw cards. This is a great way to do it. At least filtering through the top of your deck, you're not really gaining any advantage here. Fell the Mighty, same reason that we had Dusk in here. If you target one of your 1/1s, it blows up everything that's bigger than that. Martial Coup, if you just need a fairly hard board wipe in the mid to late game, you can Martial Coup, ending up with more tokens, and then potentially recast your commander and move on from there. Tempt with Vengeance. Tempt with Vengeance is one of those cards that you probably primarily see in Purphoros, and the Tempting Offer cards are interesting because politically, people don't really know how to interact with this card. You're going to create a lot of dudes anyway. You're going to create X guys. You're potentially giving your opponent's X guys also, but every time you do, you get 2X or 3X guys. So this, especially since they have haste, any guys that they give you potentially get the melee triggers, you're going to come out way ahead there in any attack. They're going to have to use their guys to block, but you've got more guys than them because they just gave them to you. Very strong card. Tormenting Voice, again, card filtering, just like Faithless Looting. It's a very good card. Wheel of Fortune, if we do play out our entire hand, this makes everybody else discard their hand. We can draw 7 cards. Eldrazi Monument in here to give our people evasion and indestructible. So if we use a hard board wipe, then we can keep ours around. And we're just sacrificing a token. So if you have something like Assemble the Legion out, you're going to be making more tokens than you're having to pay for with Eldrazi Monument. So you're just going to have indestructible flyers that have a +1/+1 bonus. So very strong there. Endless Atlas, one of the newer cards. Draw a card, activate only if you control 3 or more lands with the same name. Some people might say that you only play this in monocolored decks. I think that a 2-color deck is absolutely fine for this. You're probably going to have either 3 plains or 3 mountains out. So 2 mana to draw a card on a 2 mana artifact is very good. It's better than some of the other options like Seer Sundial or anything like that. Infiltration Lens is also something that we put in here for a little bit of additional card draw. When the equipped creature becomes blocked, you can draw 2 cards. And it's only 1 to equip and 1 to play. So when you have a whole lot of little 1/1s, you're either guaranteeing that when you buff them, that one gets through, or you're going to draw a couple cards off of it. Either one is beneficial. Mind Stone, one of the few ramp pieces that we have in here, but only because it also draws you a card. Oketra's Monument makes guys, makes things cost less. We very much want both of those things to happen. Skull Clamp is pretty much pay 1, sack a token, draw a card, or draw 2 cards. Very good, especially if you have something like Twilight Drover out, so you're turning them into +1/+1 counters that you can then turn into more tokens. Late game, you can draw just a million cards off this thing. And early game, it's very good as well. Just hey, I need to refuel a little bit. I'll sack one of my guys in order to draw a few cards. Soul Ring, ubiquitous. Sword of the Animist, again, not a lot of ramp in these colors. We do want to be attacking. Sword of the Animist benefits you by attacking. Whenever you attack, you get lands. So we like that. Planeswalkers, not too heavy here. We have Elspeth Sun's Champion, which does literally everything that we want to be doing. It makes 3 guys on its plus. It destroys things that are bigger than our tokens on its minus. And it makes all of our tokens giant and pretty much winning the game on its ult. So great card for the mid-game. We definitely want to be playing this. And Nahiri, mostly because it gives us a little bit of card filtering, a little bit extra removal. Its ult isn't really taken into consideration much here. I don't think we're really going to be doing much with it, even if we did alter. So it's pretty much just for the card filtering and removal. And that is about it. So if you enjoy playing tokens and turning things sideways and not having any combos, I actually tried to stay away from combos and just went with synergies here, then Adriana is actually not bad as far as a Boros commander. I know that Boros gets a lot of flack, even from me on, just being one of the weaker ones. But Boros can be good. You just have to usually lean a little bit more toward just good stuff. So with that, we are going to wrap it up. Make sure that you share, like, subscribe. If you have an Adriana build, I'd love to see your deck. So put the link down below, and I will check that out. All right. Until then, thank you guys very much, and tune into the Trinisphere for more gameplay, deck techs, and podcasting.